welcome back to another episode of America's Real Estate Show. We're so excited that you're here with us today. Thank you for spending your time with us. I'm Ashley, your host. If you're new, welcome from myself and our entire team. We're so grateful that you've decided to share your time with us today. And every single week, every Friday at 11 a.m. Central, this is where you will find us with top producers from across the nation who have graciously said yes to being here to share their secrets to success to help you accelerate your success. And today we have an absolute rock star. So I would love for you to help me welcome to the show a top producer all the way from San Diego, California, Miss Anjanette Calderon. Hello, hello. Hello, welcome to Chicago. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for everyone to get to meet you, to get to know you, and to learn all about Miss Southbay. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we dive into all of that, I want everyone to know that you were not even thinking about a career in real estate. You actually were on a completely different path altogether. So let's start there just with a little bit of your backstory, and then we will gradually get into how you ended up in real estate.
Hi everyone, I am so excited to be here. And yes, so just like everyone, right? I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was, in a community college, really just trying to figure out what it was. I knew I really liked public speaking and communication, so I kind of was like nursing, criminal justice, I didn't know. So I wanted to finish and go to San Diego State University, which that didn't happen as planned. I kept trying to transfer my degree, and I kept getting, it's too impacted. And I really decided to just look at that rejection as a redirection, and it completely pivoted where I ended up going with the rest of my life.
I love how you said that. You felt like it was rejection, but you turned it into redirection. That is so beautiful, because I know when you shared with me that you were trying to get into San Diego State, and for whatever reason, they were full. You had this certain degree that you wanted to pursue, and they were full, and you tried and had tried multiple times.
Yes.
And so, we always believe that when one door closes, another opens, and a big, huge door opened for you to walk right into real estate. So do you want to share just maybe a little bit, even before that door to real estate opened, what you were doing? Because you always found yourself in some type of sales and customer service role.
Yes, and that's really where I felt like, wow, this is it. So, I was a hard worker. As soon as I could work, I was working at my local mall, every retail store, and I really found out my knack for sales and customer service at Nordstrom Rack when I was the top Nordstrom credit card, debit card sales person in my department store. And I was like, okay, there's something special here. I really have to kind of dive into this, which led to banking sales.
I love it. And so then after banking sales, then you ended up working for, is that when you met the attorneys and
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that, because that then leads you to working for
Yes.
a top producing agent that really changed the game for
Yes.
you. So let's talk a little bit about that and what you did for this top producer and how it inspired you to then get your real estate license.
Yeah, so I found a really cool job working as an assistant to two real estate attorneys. There was also a real estate agent who was a producer in that office. So I was really finding out what I wanted to do, and I would hear this top producer on the phones. He's just closing deals, making it happen, and I was very intrigued on his phone calls. I remember always peering to listen to his calls, and that led to me becoming his assistant. And I just remember, I was his transaction coordinator, so I would review all of his files. So that really got me very familiar with those tedious things that us realtors don't like to do, but we should look more into is the MLS, the contractual stuff. And I was also, out on the field. So getting that really insight from a top producer really helped kind of helped me become this amazing real estate agent because I was there, in the field. And then I was also writing his check. So I would see the amount of money that having a very successful business in real estate, the potential, if you really put your mind to it, this can actually become a dream. This could completely change the trajectory of your life if you really make this a business. So that's what really inspired me. I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna go get my license. And that was the best decision that I've ever made.
I love it. And so at the same time, so you're cutting these huge checks for this top producer, and then your family was also going through a little bit of a situation, and they were working with a real estate agent, and it wasn't going great. They were not having this amazing experience. So I want to take us back there because this really ties into what inspired you to become a top producing agent. So let's talk just a little bit about what you observed and then what fire it really lit inside of you.
Yeah, so at the time, me and my sister, we were living in East Lake Chula Vista area in San Diego, which is Southbay area, which is where I grew up, which kind of ties into Miss Southbay, right? So we had our dream house. We had to sell that house. And this real estate agent promised them, okay, we're gonna help you list the property, and then we're going to help you find your replacement home. The real estate agent that my parents were working with just sold the house, but wasn't really patient enough with my parents to really help us find that replacement home. And I just remember them just being very disappointed, defeated, and losing this house with hopes that we were gonna get another house. It didn't pan out like that. They ended up getting into something they were not happy with, and that really made me really frustrated, being a helpless, young adult, wishing that I could help them. I didn't like that helpless feeling, so I made a promise to myself that when I did get my license, the first thing I was gonna do was go back and just completely find them their home where they can retire in. So that was something that really set myself on fire.
And I remember when we were visiting and I was learning more about your story in preparation of today. And one thing that really stood out to me that I thought was such a cool moment for you in your life is when you remember being behind the stairs in the staircase and listening to all of these different listing presentations. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I really feel like when you have a calling to do something, you have something within you and you can't really tell what you want to do, but you have to pick up on these intuitive things, right? So like I was listening in on the calls for the top producer in the situation with my parents when they were interviewing real estate agents. I would go and I would hide behind the staircase during the listing presentations and I would just listen. I was so curious what the questions they were asking my parents, how they presented their listing presentation. I thought it was so intriguing to me. So I really felt like, okay, this curiosity means something that is worth discovering. So that was also really awesome to just be able to be in a real live listing presentation as a young adult, which inspired me to real estate.
Right. And how cool. You nailed it when you said, how important it is to really listen to that voice within.
Yes.
And something sparked and you were absolutely curious. Well, isn't that really fun how life, it's making this huge circle. You're working for this top producer, you're cutting all these big checks for him. At the same time, you're watching your parents not have a great experience. You're watching listing presentations and you're like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to help other people so they never have to be in this type of situation. And at the same time, you're like completely inspired by watching the top producer that you're assisting. So now let's go back 8 years ago when you did make this life-changing decision to get into real estate. You had no clients, you had no deals, you had no name, you had no brand, right? You're starting from zero.
Yes.
And I mean, again, like when we were visiting, it really kind of reminds me of when movie stars are starting out, right? They have no name, they have no credentials, and they're hoping that someone gives them a yes, right? And so in this very competitive landscape that we're in the real estate industry, this is where I really want to start doing our deep dive into what was it that went through your mind that had you say, okay, there's something I've got to do to be different. And that's when you started falling into social media. So I don't want to tell your story, so I want to turn it over to you. So share with everybody, what was the very first thing that you did to start being different and standing out?
So 8 years ago, I had no clients. Didn't, just like everybody else, you have to start somewhere where you don't have anything at all. During that time, social media wasn't as popular as it is today. So I really I knew I had to stand out. San Diego's a big city. There's so many real estate agents. So I remember at the time when I started, I had an amazing mentor who really taught me a lot of the behind the scenes script practicing. But what really allowed me to stand out was kind of pushing myself to create a niche in my business, a brand. And it was to be very community focused. So I really just started thinking about what can I do to start setting myself apart, which led me to create a live Facebook show called Southbay Thursdays, which is basically it was a live show that we would just talk about local events going on in our Southbay community in San Diego, and what fun events to go on the weekend, what's going on in the market, which is just a really good way to show up weekly to stay in front of our audience.
So why Southbay? I think this is really important for everyone to understand, because there was a reason and an intention behind you choosing Southbay.
So I am born and raised in San Diego, and like I said, it's really big. So I knew I could easily get lost in this huge ocean of real estate agents. So I picked Southbay because my culture, my background, where I grew up, that's where I'm comfortable. And I really think as a real estate agent, like as soon as you get your license, you kind of follow what the shiny objects, I know a lot of realtors, they want to start selling coastal luxury, right? But for me, I really kind of just dive in is what makes me authentic, right? Because I feel like we can get easily so lost with what we see on social media, but when you really tune in to what makes you who you are, when I chose Southbay, because I know the schools, I know the restaurants, I grew up there. I feel so comfortable in Southbay area, and it's so big. There's 5 zip codes in Chula Vista, and there's so many other surrounding areas, and San Diego Zoo, Balboa Park is just right above that, so I know I could capture all of those pocket neighborhoods as well, and there wasn't really a dominant agent in that area. So really, I felt like it was a market where I could completely take over market share in that area. Maybe San Diego, North County, East County, the West Coast, kind of by the ocean, maybe not everything, but if I just focused in on these 5 or 6 zip codes, I could really, make an impact. So that's why I chose Southbay.
Perfect. Okay, and so your Facebook Live show did come to an end. I always say, there's always a new beginning with an ending, right? And that is what led you to start an Instagram show. So let's talk about how you kind of transitioned from the Facebook Live to the Instagram show that you created, because that's where the ball really starts rolling and your creativity, and we're gonna get even deeper and deeper into how you then created Miss Southbay.
Yeah, so the Southbay Thursdays, really catchy name, and that's another thing, is with your ideas, make it catchy, make it fun for the audience. So after about a year, the partnership that I had ended. And I was, didn't end on the best terms, so I was a little sad about the ending of that show because it was really a way for me to get in front of my audience. So I was feeling a little defeated, so I go to my mentor and he's like, no, you're gonna make your own show. Don't let this phase you. That's when I created the Instagram Live, the Southbay Minute. And that's where I just kind of showed up and really showed my persona, showed what I was about. And I started just doing that every single week. I would do it live. I would post it on my Instagram as a post to share to also Facebook. So I just made sure I was staying top of mind. And I really feel like in your business, you're gonna have times where things don't work out. You're gonna have times where partnerships end or things just fail. But that doesn't mean that all that means is that was, okay, I learned something from this. I learned this lesson and boom, I created my Southbay Minute. You just pivot, right? You always grow. You always take what you learn and you grow. So if you're getting failures, by the way, and if you're hitting rock walls in your business, that's a great sign. That means you're about to level up. So always see failure as evidence of your success. So that, once I became with the Southbay Minute, that's where Miss Southbay came. Finally, it hit me. And do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, I know. I'm like sitting, listening to that. I'm like, I love your energy and your passion. And it totally reminds me, I love sports. And there's an Olympian who I absolutely love watching. And she would always say, I'm not back, I'm better. And that's what that just reminded me of, right? So I want to go into how you transitioned in creating this persona, right? So you moved from just posting content and doing a show that was for a minute into developing this whole persona of Miss Southbay, which it turns out, because we were having a super fun conversation on the way here, it absolutely reminds me of Beyonce. And she has spoken very publicly, right, about creating kind of this alter ego. I think she calls her Sasha Fierce, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's kind of what reminds me of Miss Southbay. So let's talk about this persona that you created.
Yeah, and I love that. I feel like real estate, you shouldn't ever take it too seriously. Like, have fun with it. It's already a very serious career, but if you kind of make it fun, like on my signs, it's all Miss Southbay. I'm like, nope, I don't want my name. This is what draws attention. This is what is marketable. So when I was doing Southbay Minute, I was thinking, okay, this is really taking off. I was starting to gain a lot of audience and people to know me for that. I was just thinking, I don't want to call myself my name, Anjanette Calderon. First, it's long, it is a nice name, but I wanted something that was catchy, that when I would show up and speak in a video, that I could just, captivate audience. So Miss Southbay, I just felt like it was short and it was catchy, and I don't know, it just hit me after doing that for so long. I think it just comes to you. And then I just changed my name, and then I started to get a lot of people to recognize that name. They're like, oh wow, who does she think she is? But that's the kind of energy that you have to put out. You have to think of yourself and your business as like, I kind of think of it is kind of like my alter ego. Right. It's my persona. Like, that's Miss Southbay, but I'm Anjanette, but that girl, like, she can do it.
That's right. Miss Southbay. I mean, she is Sasha Fierce, right? I know. We were joking about us both wearing animal print today. So I'm like, you are fierce, and I love it, and you own it. You own everything about being Miss Southbay. So let's talk about the types of videos and content that you're making that your audience really loves, because you have really tapped into this, right? Like you shared earlier, you are incredibly passionate about Southbay, and that's why this whole persona works for you, because it really embodies who you are authentically. So let's just kind of turn the lens into what your audience is loving to see from Miss Southbay, because you do lots of different types of content.
Yes, so a lot of my audience, they love restaurant videos that, people love food, but I think in my restaurant videos, I wouldn't just say, hey, this is a new restaurant that just came up. I really put my persona into my videos. So like I did like a pizzeria video of a very popular pizza restaurant, and I talk about the story behind why Papa Tonio created the pizza restaurant, and like that story behind it. And people really love stories, if anything. So when you're making content, make it around like a story, you know, put your personality into it and get creative and whatever that makes you. So a lot of people love those. They love my neighborhood tours, being inside, showing, you know, the different variety of single family homes, condos, townhomes, investment. Oh, and then another one that people really love is new developments. So for example, in San Diego, we have a huge multi-billion-dollar project that is about to get ready this summer. It's like a bayfront, hotels, resorts. So that whole project, people really want to know, you know, when is it going to be developed? What is, they like it when you kind of go to a development and tour that. So people want to know what's going on in your community. So having to do that extra homework, researching what's going on, and then creating and kind of being, like we were talking about, the mayor of your town. Being in a real estate form, be the mayor of your town, constantly show up and inform people of what's going on.
Right, essentially like being the digital mayor of your town.
Yes.
So I remember there was this, wasn't there a super fun story about, did you take your dog to lunch?
Oh, yeah.
Am I remembering this? Okay, I mean, I'm like, I think I remember you saying you took your dog to lunch. Let's talk about that, because that's fun.
Yeah, so like and that's what I'm saying, get creative, right? So my dog, Boo Boo, she's a Chihuahua. She can't hear, and she, you know, she's kind of not all there. She's really, really old. But I took her to lunch. There is a restaurant that, it was a brunch spot, and it has a whole dog menu. So I took her with me, and I put her inside the video while there's all these food and had her eat like one of the dog items on the meal. But people love stuff like that.
I love that. I mean, how fun. See, I'm like, I know our business is very serious, and
Yeah.
I love how you're just giving everyone permission to be themselves and have a good time. That we can have fun too.
But this is the cool part. Okay, so while I'm doing this, you guys, like, I'm just like a regular girl. So like this was all kind of for fun, but please keep in mind, while I'm all doing this, I'm also doing the behind the scenes work. I'm doing the 2 open houses a week. I'm doing the script practice, the role play trainings, which I'm very passionate about. So I'm doing all of that while I'm doing this. But while I'm doing the work, I'm also documenting it. So documenting what you're doing when you're working is also important because people need to see you working.
100%. So, okay, before we switch off again into like just different types of videos that you're making, back to the food, I can remember you made a really fun video about burgers, and and I remember the restaurant brought out, you know, kind of its 3 most favorite burgers, and you shared which one that you love the most. And I love that you're just not afraid to do that, and you're like eating right there on camera and sharing like, hey, this is my favorite one, and you did such a beautiful job of I'm just going to call it kind of behind the scenes access, you know, with everyone who was making the burgers. And I mean, you just made it really fun and you involved everybody. So talk a little bit more about that, because I really want the agents to understand, you know, how deep you're going into the videos, and you're making kind of 2 different kinds. You have one kind where you do have a videographer who's helping you, and maybe that's once a week, and so you're pouring a lot of intentionality and energy into that, and then you're creating other types of videos that you are doing yourself. So let's talk about maybe just kind of the 2 different vibes.
Yeah, so, okay, so in the beginning, I didn't have money for a fancy videographer. I was just getting started. So everything was just literally, you guys, like my phone and myself. My phone and just, you know, bringing it everywhere where I would want to bring it. So just going to places, filming on my own. Like I have a sushi video where I went to a sushi restaurant, and I'm just like right there in front, like, hey guys, I'm here at Sushia, and people probably think I'm a weirdo because I'm by myself in a restaurant with a tripod and I'm just eating the food, but whatever, whatever it takes to get you out there. So I do, you know, raw content like that. But once my business started picking up, I did hire a videographer to film me, you know, like 4 to 5 times a month on just polished content, because you want to have a good balance of authentic raw content and polished, you know, more upscale content where he can get drone footage and B-roll. And if you talk to videographers and you say, hey, I want to do this many videos per month, they will help you out with their rates. So they're a lot more affordable when you buy packages like that. And it also shows your audience that you are a professional, that how you're marketing, you know, these things is how you're going to market their listing. So it is really a reflection on how you market.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that too, because I'm going to go right into talking about some stats. So
wait,
again,
one more thing.
yes,
One
keep
more
going.
thing. Okay, so once you start doing this, what's really cool about branding, so cool, is that once you start showing up saying that this is my brand, hey, I'm Miss Southbay, I'm Miss Southbay, what started happening, I started having people call me and say, hey, I want to list my house and you're Miss Southbay. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, how did you get my number? He's like, well, you're Miss Southbay, and my house is in Southbay. I'm like, what the heck? That's when it clicked. Like, this works. This really works. And then like going to like stores and stuff, I would sometimes get people that would come up to me and they're like, oh, aren't you Miss Southbay? That I didn't even know. And I was like, that is so cool that when you have a brand and you really put work in it, it will pay off.
And so let's just really summarize for our Asian community who's watching today. Why do you think that worked so well? Why was the audience really starting to connect with you on that level? And again, where they're like, this is Miss Southbay and this is who I need to call and talk to.
Because I really was authentic with who I was. And when I showed up on camera, I wasn't trying to be anybody else. I was authentically showing up as me, and people love that. And being somebody that grew up in their community and sharing my stories and my life as well kind of makes people see you as, you know, a part of who they are. Like, people could see me as like their niece or their friend or their sister, somebody that's not, you know, too big to contact, somebody that's approachable. And it's familiarity, right? It's familiarity because trust builds, familiarity builds trust with your clients. And if you continuously show up, they start to feel like they already know you. It breaks that barrier.
100%. KLT. I always have to get a shout out to another top producer, Jonathan Cook. Hello, in Texas. He always says KLT. Know, like, trust, and that's exactly what you're doing. So I want to share some stats because this is really important for our community to know, to follow your journey, okay? So at one point, 90% of your business was coming from Instagram, and these were completely people that you did not know, okay? So 90% of the business that you were doing from people that you did not know that was coming through Instagram. Today, those numbers have shifted. And it's about 30%. And there's a reason why. And this is really kind of the explanation point that I want to put on this. And it's because you put in all of this work to develop Miss Southbay and really get the KLT, right? And so now to dive even deeper into some more data, 70% of your business are listings, 30% are buyers, and 60% of your business is now coming from your client base and referrals. So I want everyone, I hope they're really zoning in and understanding it was because of all the work that we just talked about that you did to where those numbers flipped. So now you're not having to put as much energy into producing the videos that you once did. You're still doing it, but you took the time. So let's talk about how much time. When you then saw this shift so that it was no longer 90% cold coming in from Instagram, and now the majority of your business is really coming from this beautiful base that you've built, this funnel, right? So about how long do you think it took?
Yeah, so to build a long-term business that is going to be able to give you and feed your business, if you take care of it, it's going to take care of you. And it took me about 2 years, I would say, of consistently showing up and building content. It was where I really started seeing some amazing results. And by year 3, it completely started shifting towards a more referral-based and past client business. And I will, another important fact is, like, the beginning of my business, in my experience, it was mostly buyer-based. I did get listings here and there, but it wasn't as many listings as I'm getting now, because when you continuously help buyers, and you know, I would also say in the beginning, my marketing tactic was helping a lot of first-time buyers. Now that I'm, you know, already have developed and set the foundation, I'm helping more step-up clients. Past clients are returning to me, so I'm more listing-based. But the buyers are a really great way to set up your foundation for your business.
So let's dive a little bit deeper into the listings because they are the majority of your business right now.
Yes.
And there was a great story that you told me about a client that shared with you, right, that they were ready to sign because they had been watching your content for what was it, like 4 years?
4 years,
So for
yeah.
4 years. So let's just take this moment to give everybody watching and listening encouragement, right? That might sound like a long time to put in the work and the effort and the energy, but look, it's really not that long. And so, yes, so go ahead.
Yes, so once you start building a brand on your social media for a long time, you start to build this instant trust with you start to build a little bit of a fan base of loyal people that will come to you. And one guy that I did meet to potentially list his home, I was sitting on the table with him. The listing agreement was in front of me. It was a 3% commission that for the listing side that I was going over, and it was when I started shifting from like 2.5% to 3%, so I was a little nervous. And when I asked him, like, okay, so go ahead and sign. This is what the compensation is going to be. He literally looks at me and he says, you're totally worth it. I will pay every penny. I have been watching you for 4 years. I already know you're gonna get this done. And he just signs. I'm like, wow. So really, like, that all speaks, that hard work that you put in, it's going to speak for itself. When you're sitting with sellers at listing presentations, it's going to be so much easier to just have them want to work with you, want to sign with you, and there's going to be way less objections because you've already put in all the hard work in selling yourself over the amount of time that you spent building your brand.
Right, and it's not just the KLT, the know, like, trust. It's that you really are demonstrating that you know how to brand and market. So when you are working with sellers, they have that confidence in you that you know absolutely what you're doing on how to get their home sold. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%, especially because you're in their community. You're working with buyers and sellers in their community, and that makes them feel confident to hire you and feel like they have the best agent out there.
All right, beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between maybe going viral versus hyperlocal content. And I love that you've taken the approach of going hyperlocal. That's what today's topic is all about. That's why you created the persona of Miss Southbay. And I feel like there could be a lot of pressure out there for people to think that, like, oh my gosh, every time that I make content, I've got to figure out a way to make it go viral. And that's not what you focus on at all. So let's talk a little bit about how that mindset and really that shift has helped you in your business and your content creation.
Yeah, so, when I started, viral wasn't really a thing. It was just, even making videos wasn't as big of a deal. I think in today's world, a lot of agents are focused on making a video that's going to get all these views and attention and going viral, and they're doing crazy things to get attention. They're dancing, they're making funny videos, which that is all great to get, attention. But what I really focus on is, I always say local content is better than viral content when you're trying to build a long-term brand and business, because you're making content for your community. Your clients want to hire an agent that knows your community, knows your neighborhoods, that is in their community. So when you're continuously making content for them, they're going to see that. It's going to get in front of the right people. You don't have to show up for everyone. You don't have to show up for everyone. As long as you show up for your community, you will be successful.
That is such an excellent point. Can you say that just one more time? Because I really do feel like there could be some agents watching today thinking, oh my gosh, she picked Miss Southbay. Like, that is such a niche. Did you box yourself in? And I love how you just emphasized you don't have to be making content for everybody. So will you just say that one more time? Because it's really, really important.
Yes, so when you're making content, you don't have to make content and show up for everyone, right? You really just have to make content for those in your community, and you're going to stand out to your community. And, over time, they're going to get to be more familiar with you, and that's what's really going to make an impact in turning your viewers into real closings, real clients. And that is the kind of attention. It's so much far important to have, 20 likes from people that actually may buy or sell with you than having 300 likes of just random people. One's from Dallas, Texas, another person from New York, or just everywhere that you're not really selling, and I feel like in today's age and time that everybody wants instant gratification. We want the large following, the lots of likes. Don't focus on that. Focus on just your community and what makes your community unique to the entire city as a whole. And once you start diving in on that, you're gonna look like the expert.
A few things you said that are super important, right? There are folks that are perhaps looking to move to Southbay, let's say, right?
Ooh.
And so really what you're doing and concentrating on the hyperlocal content and everything that I've learned about you and that what you're sharing here today is you're very focused on creating what I would call lifestyle type content. And so not only is it helping the buyers and sellers that are in that community, right? You're demonstrating that you really know where they are, but you're also talking to people who could be potentially moving to that area.
Yes, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you brought this point. Okay, I'm really excited to talk about this point because this is where the magic happens. Oh my gosh. Okay, so after I was doing this, yes, you're attracting buyers and sellers, but what's really powerful, you guys, is you're also attracting realtors. And I know, we don't want to attract realtors to our page. There are competition. Oh, no. They are one of your biggest source of lead generation. Because when I tell you I've connected with real estate agents, in Virginia, real estate agents in Arizona, and I've gotten listings because they see me as a professional, I have built a whole nother source on just agents in different states that have been watching me, that I've inspired. And now we have an amazing partnership to help their, relocation clients. There's a lot of Navy, we have 5 naval bases, so there's a lot of clients that are relocating in and out. So you never know who's gonna be catching eyes on your content.
Right, I mean, you have essentially established a massive referral network.
Yes.
Right? So if there is an agent who has a client moving to your area, right? I mean, I know that they're looking you up and they want to make sure that they're handing their client off to someone and they know that they're going to be in good hands, right?
Oh, yes.
So again, as we were really preparing for today, a lot of what you talked about reminded me just a little bit of online dating, right? Because I know a lot of people go online to look for their real estate agent. So me, sometimes I do like to nerd out. And so I was looking up some statistics. And so I have to just read a few because I think this is really important. So according to the data that I found, about 97% of people are searching for their agent online. 70% are checking out their social media profile first before they ever reach out. And millennial and Gen Z buyers right now are dominating the home buying market, and they trust video content more than anything else, even more than reviews. And I thought that was really insane right there. I'm like, mic drop. Video content even more than reviews and Google reviews, right? So what is the big takeaway when you hear me kind of read off those stats and that data? What do you want everyone to take from that?
I want everybody to understand that we are in a whole new realm where everything is on social media. Like, our reality is no longer real life. Like, our reality is social media. So when you think about building a business, like showing up to the office every day and putting in the work, that's important. But think of social media as your office. If you don't show up on social media and get in front of the camera, you don't have a business. Like, if you don't show up online, then you don't exist. So really getting out of your comfort zone and being courageous and start building a presence online is going to be so impactful for your business.
And focusing on hyperlocal content.
Yes, focusing on like hyperlocal content to help you stand out.
So I know people are probably going to be super surprised when I share with them that you actually were very camera shy when you started. I know no one's going to believe us when we say that you were so terrified and you were very, very camera shy. And so I want to give everybody who's watching and listening today hope and inspiration, because you are now Miss South Bay. And one of the things that you did was a social media day. And this really helped you get comfortable with the camera, build your camera confidence. And so let's, another thing that I love to do is get what I call tactical and practical. So let's get a little tactical and practical here, and let's share with everybody what type of social media day they can create for themselves, and how important it is to grab another real estate agent or 2 or 3 to do this with, and really kind of create your own social media day. What could go into that? Because this is something that they can do to practice so that they can get better.
Yes, it's gonna be so normal if you're uncomfortable in front of the camera. If you see my very first videos, I'm like shaking and I look like a deer in headlights. I was a very shy person. So in my office, we had a few agents that would all get together and we would just film together, because it's not as intimidating if you have a couple agents in your office doing it with you. So just, getting together with them, putting the tripods up, having your script ready, and then taking turns to get on camera. And if you do that every week, it's like a muscle, you're gonna get more confident naturally. And when you feel uncomfortable, it's okay. That just means you are growing. That is just courage coming out. And you have to allow yourself to get comfortable in front of the camera, or you're never going to improve. So just having a couple agents, ask them. Everybody wants more content. Everybody needs more content. So I'm sure they're going to say yes, and it's not as intimidating, and you'll get content out of it.
Right, and go out into the community together.
Yes.
And so you're acting, for each other like a videographer would. I mean, It's so much easier to have someone else there with you, right? Coaching you, helping you, so you don't feel like you're doing this all alone. But then what I think is really important to share is what you then did after. So you weren't just filming the content. You took a lot of time to really go back and watch the content that you were making and really critiquing yourself. So let's dive into a little bit about how you analyzed your own performance, and that you took time to find other content creators that you like to follow so that you can mirror them. So when I was asking you, well, gosh, again, going back to the persona of, you created Miss South Bay, there is a certain tone, there's a certain look, right? So all of these different things, it's not like you just show up and like, boom, I'm Miss South Bay. So let's dive deeper into that for the agents. So when they're thinking about creating perhaps their own persona, they can get a feel for, all right, these are and of course we want them to follow you, because that's where they really can learn, but there's tons of other content creators out there, and you have people that you follow as well.
Yeah, so getting started, I did kind of look to see what other people were doing out there. And I truly feel like when you find somebody that you really want to kind of do whatever, similar style, that means that you have it within you. If you're already intrigued and curious about that, that means you have it within you, and kind of see how they're talking, their tonality. And when you're making your videos and you're looking at them, really pay attention to, how can I look more confident? How can I focus on that? Like when I first started my videos, I would say a lot. So just trying to focus on cutting those ums out and just watching myself improve, and try to also, mimic the other videos that I was watching. So being your own editor and really focusing on how you can improve, you're going to get better. You just have to put some work behind it.
I love that. That is so, I think it's very inspiring and encouraging for sure. Like you mentioned at the beginning that you had a mentor who helped you really kind of set up, these different social media days. I feel like finding different content creators that you can follow, I think maybe looking at it through that lens, that every content creator that you find that you like, that maybe you want to, mirror that type of look or image, that becomes your mentor. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to go pay someone a whole bunch of money to coach me or train me or this or that. I mean, it's great if you do, but there are ways just by putting in the work and the research. Go find your own mentors that are content creators that are doing this, that are in the style that really identify with you. So I don't know, what do you think about that?
Yes, early on, having a mentor really changed everything for me, because when you're starting off, having somebody that's going to encourage you to do uncomfortable things is where you grow. And the mentor that I had, I was incredibly lucky, because I'm grateful that I had the opportunity, because he was somebody who really molded me and crafted me and would push me on camera. And I think he started to see that I was good on camera, and he wanted to continue, pushing me out there so I can get more comfortable with it. And on top of that, he was also someone that helped me with a lot of my real estate sales and scripting and all of those skills as well. So having a good mentor is so important when you're starting off.
And you now are a mentor.
Yes,
yes.
I am.
Tell everybody who you're a mentor for.
Yes, so I am a mentor at our San Diego office at Realty of America and at our West Coast headquarters. And yeah, so I have I'm a mentorship program where I do have mentees under me, and what I do different that other mentors are, that sets me apart, is I do a role play script practice training, but it's a live role play training, meaning that I'm having all of my mentees and our agents in our office get up and practice live scripts. And this is also ties into your presentation skills, to your video skills, because getting up and being uncomfortable is where the growth happens, and it builds that confidence within you. So we role play objections with listing objections, a ton of stuff for open houses and phone calls, and we really dive in and practice those objections, because if you're not practicing with other agents around you, then you're practicing on the potential clients that are walking into your open house. So I'm very big on practicing before the big game day, which is Saturday, your open house. Practice with your agents behind the scenes. So when it's Saturday, you know exactly what to say when they hit you with, oh, I only write my offers with the listing agent. You know how to handle those objections, because you'll get thrown a lot. So really building those skills for the agents is what I'm focused on, and I love it. I'm so passionate. I get in such great character with my role play trainings. So
I can only imagine. Does Miss Southbay show up? Is she?
Oh, yeah.
I love it. She shows up. She shows up to do all the role playing elements. So if you're not in San Diego, do not fear. I mean, at some point, and maybe our production team already has, you can 100% reach out to Anjanette on her Instagram. There should be a QR code. DM her. It's so easy to find her. She's Miss Southbay. So definitely find her on Instagram and DM her. I know she would love to help you out at any time. So we're going to do a couple of things here, Anjanette. All right, we're going to push pause for just a second. I want to give all of our live streamers a chance to send in questions. We might have time to do just a few. So live streamers, there should be a QR code. Use that. If for some reason it's not working, there's a phone number on there as well. And if you would text us some questions, and like I said, if we have time to dive into a few, we will do that live. We have a live audience here, and that's always their favorite part, is after the show, as we go into a private exclusive mastermind with our top producer. So if you're in the area, be sure to come join us live, because that's where the magic happens after the show. So now what we're going to do, we have a couple of just very, very, very special announcements. And so I want to bring up our first special guest. If you would help me welcome to the show, B&A Soto. Hello, B&A.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is B&A Soto, Director of Agent Development here at Realty of America, Illinois. And today I am very excited to share with you guys that I'm celebrating 2 years since I quit my job in the wireless industry to come and join and pursue my career in real estate. My ultimate passion is to help individuals start a career in real estate and encourage you to be successful, right? I am very, very happy to announce that we are actually having our most anticipated career night this May 22nd at 6 p.m. So if you're looking to change your career or looking to start a career in real estate, this is the event that you do not want to miss. If you're in the Midwest, if you're in Indiana, Wisconsin, or Illinois, I encourage you to join us May 22nd at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, and now we're going to have our super fun Mortgage Minute. So if you would, welcome to the show a 30-year veteran in the industry, Miss Irma De Leon. Welcome, Irma.
Hello. How's everyone doing today? First of all, Anjanette, I just want to say congratulations on your success. I love what you said, that you don't look at things as a rejection, but a redirection. And if so many people did that, could you imagine how powerful people can be? And that you didn't give up. And I love your energy and how positive you are. You're a ray of sunshine. So keep shining bright, and congratulations on your success. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Let's give her a round of applause. Hi, my name is Irma De Leon. I have been in the mortgage industry a little over 30 years, and I am a proud single mother of 2 amazing sons. How many of you, I have a question for you, how many of you right now are still encountering multiple offer situations when you're taking your clients out, your buyers, to look for a home? Let's raise our hands. Yes, right? We're still in that current landscape. Well, today what I'd like to do is share a strategy on how you can leverage your lenders when you're in a multiple offer situation. So first, super important to make sure that your buyers are pre-approved. So there's 2 ways of being pre-approved. One is where the loan officer will gather their documents, they will review the documents, and then run it through AUS, which is our automated system, then issue a pre-approval. What our team likes to practice is we take it a step further. What we do is we actually get the file then into underwriting immediately, so therefore we know what the conditions may be. We'll work on the conditions that get them cleared, so you can truly offer a pre-approval knowing that it's already been underwritten, and that's what you could tell the listing agent. So that's very strong, and that's something that's been very successful with our team. Second, personalize that pre-approval letter. So this is going to show the listing agent that you've looked at all the details, and you are saying that this buyer qualifies by, putting the address on the pre-approval letter, and showing those details will be very important, and they can share that with the seller. Lastly, super important, is have your lender call the listing agent. This is going to show that they're proactive, and how many times have we heard that lenders kind of like sometimes go MIA, right? And then, they're not communicating with the listing side. Well, that will eliminate all of that. So they'll show that they're communicative as well as they're proactive, and they're a part of the team, and they want to make sure that they take care of them as well as your client. So these are some strategies that our team currently uses. If our team can be of any help to you, please, by all means, give us a call. And don't forget to thrive in 2025. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Irma. Okay, and so our live streamers, you should be seeing a QR code. And again, if that's not working for some reason, use the phone number and text the code word SUNWEST. If you would like Irma and her team to touch base with you, if you have any questions at all, if you want to mastermind with them, they are absolutely amazing. Like I said, Irma has been in this business for 30 years. She also is an attorney, so you are in fantastic hands. So text the code word SUNWEST, and that lets us know that you would like to hear from Irma and her team. So I was scrolling through the questions, and I know our time is super limited, so I'm really going to sum it up by asking you, if you had to do this all over again, would you take the same path? Would you still create Miss Southbay? Would you still stay super niche and super hyper local? Have you ever felt like you've missed out on opportunities because you went that direction?
Oh, no. I've spent years on making my foundation. All I want to do now is next level. I want to even make it bigger and better and continue going and evolve with it. I would do it all over again, 100%.
And I mean, can you tell us why you felt like you haven't? I mean, I know you mentioned that there were a few opportunities that you felt like you missed out on, but you were like, no, the opportunities that I have gained have surpassed anything that I felt that I've lost. Because I know there's a lot of people out there right now thinking, I'm scared to go that niche.
Yep. Yeah, and that was one of my concerns. I will be completely honest. I did have doubts about my brand and going very community niche because I was worried if I were going to take a listing appointment more up north that I would not get the listing because they would see me really branding my Southbay brand. However, I will say that I did lose a couple listings, but the amount of business that I've gained far passes, like completely surpasses what I've lost. So I really do feel like I've gained so much more business because of it. And it's allowed me to capture this community, and being able to have that is very, very powerful when you're able to have trust in your own community because, turnover, people come to you to upsize, downsize, you become that local expert. So being a local celebrity is way better than being trying to own everything because you can really just dive in one area.
Right, trying to be everything to everybody, you lose.
You lose, yes.
Right, that's really kind of the message that I hear you saying. So as we kind of wrap up today, what are, again, maybe some tactical and practical steps and inspiration that you want to leave our audience with today so that they will get out there and start maximizing like you did so they can build this huge base of business and turn it into referrals and repeat business and not have to rely so much on cold prospecting?
Yeah, what's stopping you? The number one thing that comes to mind is the only thing that is standing in the way of you doing and putting yourself out there is yourself. And let go of the perfection. Let go of the perfection. Let people see you for who you are. And I promise you that you're going to start attracting people that want to work with you. So just getting out of your own way, feel the courage to do it. Even if you're nervous, channel that nervous energy into something courageous that's going to move you and guide you forward, because like nervous energy, uncomfortable energy, that's just you evolving. So if you feel that, that's a good sign. So just go with it, do it now, because you have to. It's the only way that it's going to get you to the next level is really channeling into that potential you have and doing something with it.
Yes, right there. I love that. I love that. Is the perfect way to wrap up this segment. Lose the perfection. I don't know about anyone else out there who's watching today, but man, does that hit home for me. I mean, just lose the perfection, be courageous. I think I'm gonna write that down and look at that every day. Lose the perfection, be courageous. Just do it, right? Like Nike had something when they came up with that slogan. Just do it. I cannot thank you enough for being here today, for sharing your heart, your authenticity, your energy. I had so much fun. I hope that you did too. I hope everybody watching here has so many gems that they've learned today, and that you're gonna get out there and you're gonna get on camera and just lose the perfection, get the courage, be fierce. So we're gonna wrap it up today. I cannot thank you enough for being here. I wanna wish all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day that's coming up on Sunday. I want to wish my mom and dad a happy anniversary. I love you guys. I know you're watching. Over 55 years. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. I love you. And we're celebrating this weekend. So we're going to be back here next Friday with another amazing top producer. You are not going to want to miss it. A little sneak peek as we're going to be talking all about how to get into luxury. So make sure to check out our Instagram and YouTube. Follow us there, right? Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, America's Real Estate Show. That's where we post all of our content, and that's where you're going to find out who our next special guest and top producer is. It's going to be coming out tomorrow, so be watching for that. Okay, that's a wrap up for today. Thank you so much for being with us today on America's Real Estate Show.